A few quick things in the provision I didn't talk about. I like.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, it's hard to believe it's already. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We got a busy show in store. We're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, what's happening in Albany. We got just a quick clip from him in Albany. We'll play that in this hour. In the next hour, we're going to hear about the Chemung County Fair. First, a viewer comment from after yesterday's broadcast. I just missed it. I can only imagine if Harris had won the last election. Iran would probably have a nuclear bomb by now. Well, we definitely wouldn't be doing anything about it. They'd either have one or working on one unscathed. So you raise a good point. Now, Israel yesterday, actually breaking very early this morning, the Israel Defense Forces eliminated Mohammed Oba, the new head of Hamas's military wing, and a key figure in the October 7, 2023 attack. Israel Defense Minister Israel Katz confirmed his elimination on Wednesday, writing in a post on X that he was, quote, sent to meet his partners in the depths of, we'll say heck, and congratulating the IDF and Israel's security agency for the brilliant execution of the operation. This was followed shortly thereafter by a joint IDF and Israel Security Agency statement also confirming that elimination. Quote, as part of the joint IDF and ISA operation to eliminate the terrorist Mohammed Abda, terror infrastructure sites in the heart of Gaza City that ODA used to hide out were struck. This followed months of intelligence monitoring aimed at tracking the movements of ODA and his operatives. Simultaneously, a nearby apartment belonging to Hamas terrorists who infiltrated Israel on October 7th and was part of ODA's circle of operatives was struck as well. The morning confirmation followed a joint statement late last night with Benjamin Netanyahu and Katz that Israel forces carried out a strike in Gaza targeting the terror leader. In a statement, they said that ODA had led Hamas's intelligence unit during the October 7th massacre and had been appointed about a week earlier to replace Izz al-Din al-Haddad, who was killed in an Israeli strike in Gaza on May 15th. He was accused of involvement in killings, abductions, and injuries of Israeli civilians and soldiers. So there's your update from this morning. We also learned early this morning, late last night, that we're going to talk about the primary elections. Very interesting. Remember, we've been told over and over again that MAGA is turning on Trump. He just doesn't have the support of MAGA anymore. Well, again, that was proved premature, to say the least. But first, U.S. military kills alleged narco-terrorist in a lethal strike on drug trafficking vessel in Eastern Pacific, according to Southcom. On May 26th, at the direction of Southcom Commander General Francis Donovan, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by designated terrorist organizations. Intelligence confirmed the vessel was transiting along known narco-trafficking routes in the Eastern Pacific and was engaged in narco-trafficking operations. The military said one alleged narco-terrorist was killed in the strike and 2 others survived. Southcom said it immediately notified the U.S. Coast Guard to begin search and rescue operations for the survivors. No U.S. forces were injured, according to the military. So there is an update there as well. Okay, so last night, as the polls closed, within seconds of the polls closing, as a matter of fact, Ken Paxton was declared victorious over John Cornyn in the GOP Senate runoff. Now, remember, Trump had just recently endorsed Paxton. He decisively won the primary runoff election in Texas, knocking off incumbent Senator John Cornyn exactly 1 week after securing President Trump's pivotal endorsement. Paxton's landslide, when we talk landslide, as of midnight last night, 92% of the votes counted. Paxton's lead, 64% to Cornyn's 36%. That's a 28-point victory. But remember, MAGA no longer supports Trump, and Trump's endorsement just doesn't mean anything. That's a win. Now, Paxton's landslide victory is the 3rd closely watched result in 10 days that demonstrates Trump's unrivaled influence over the Republican Party. Now, this is from the New York Post, so they're good at reporting. But think of all those outlets that for weeks and really months said that because of Marjorie Taylor Greene, which we don't have to get down that rabbit hole, that all of a sudden everybody who had supported Trump, and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, all these people who supported Trump no longer. Now, you and I would say maybe they're just doing it for themselves, to look out for themselves, to look out for number one, to keep the clicks coming in, these type of things. No, the media presented it to you as if MAGA was dead. It was all over but the shouting. They no longer support Trump. And here we are, where you have Cassidy, you had Massey, and now you had Cornyn all out, easily defeated in their primary because of President Trump's endorsement. Cornyn topped Paxton by 2.5 percentage points in the March 3rd primary, but with Trump opting not to weigh in on the race, neither candidate reached the 50% benchmark needed to secure the nomination. With Trump's endorsement in hand, Paxton trounced Cornyn in the runoff, winning again by, 27 points here. According to those 27 points, we've heard 28 points either way. Paxton called Trump's seal of approval the most powerful force in politics after he locked up the nomination. Quote, when everyone in Washington told him to abandon me and abandon the people of Texas, he didn't listen, Paxton said. Instead, he gave his complete and total endorsement. I'm honored to have his support, and I look forward to working with him in the Senate to deliver for Texas. Now, the media is trying to present it as a way that he didn't completely give Trump credit somehow, even though he said Trump's approval is the most powerful force in politics. And then they're saying the death grip on the Republican Party by Trump. Paxton will take on Democrat State Representative James Tellerico. Now, you may remember James Tellerico's name. That's who defeated Jasmine Crockett. Tellerico and Paxton will face off in the November 3rd general election, a race which will go a long way to determine whether Republicans can maintain control of the upper chamber. That should be interesting. Now, I would argue, of course, that it would have been an easier win for Paxton if it were Jasmine Crockett than Tellerico. But the media is propping up Tellerico, trying to present him as a moderate. And if you've seen what he said in the past, he's not moderate. But this is what the media does. More of a moderate, level-headed, Christian Democrat. Now, the most recent poll taken by Texas Southern University and YouGov and released on May the 18th showed Paxton and Talrico in a dead heat, each with 45% support. Texans have not elected a Democrat to the Senate since 1988 when Lloyd Benson won a fourth term. Paxton said, "My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. James Talrico is a threat to everything we hold dear in this state and in this country." Now, Cornyn will depart the Senate after failing in his bid to win a fifth term. So 6-year terms. He wanted one more, at least. Cornyn had backed calls to weaken the filibuster and champion the Save America Act to require proof of citizenship to vote, among other conservative wish list items, during the scramble to get Trump's endorsement. On the eve of Trump's announcement, Cornyn acknowledged that he believed that ship has finally sailed when asked if he thought he would receive the president's backing. In his concession speech, Cornyn announced that he would support Paxton in this race, saying, "I've spent most of my life in the Senate building the Republican Party in Texas. I've always supported the Republican ticket, and I intend to do so again in this general election. I've said throughout the race that I trust the voters of Texas and that they made the decision, and I respect it. My hope is to keep my party in power for generations." Now, it is going to be interesting to see where this heads. The question that CNN is asking, and again, I keep saying wishful thinking. That's exactly what this is. John Cornyn's defeat raises a new question. Will he join the Senate Republicans rebelling against Trump? Well, you could see this. I mean, you saw it with Cassidy. I'm sure you'll see it with Massey, though Massey's been a pretty consistent no vote to Trump's agenda. But Cassidy switching on the war powers vote, that kind of pettiness out the door. We saw it many years ago when Trump was elected and John McCain voted essentially voted against repealing Obamacare, essentially was the bill. Cornyn's landslide defeat raises a pressing question, says CNN. Will he join the ranks of other Republicans recently vanquished by President Trump and begin going against the president more? Cornyn suggested prior to Tuesday's loss that he will continue to be a team player, but that has not stopped Republicans from speculating about whether he will go the way of Thom Tillis and Bill Cassidy. Tillis abandoned his re-election campaign last year after Trump threatened to back a primary challenger, while Cassidy lost re-election earlier this month after Trump endorsed against him. Both have since become outspoken against Trump, complicating his legislative agenda. There's the pettiness there, but I also think there's the true colors there, where you had people, kind of like going back to what we were saying about Tucker Carlson and others, switching their position, supposedly their moral compass, switching those positions just out of spite for Trump because Trump endorsed someone else. So it goes to show that they were perhaps never really conservative, that it was whatever which way the wind blew, more of a rhino or a deep state type scenario. Already a small and eclectic bloc of Republicans have been increasingly outspoken against key Trump policies, from the war in Iran to a government settlement fund that could benefit MAGA loyalists. Ted Cruz, the junior senator from Texas, said recently that it is fair to expect John's going to be less than thrilled if he loses a re-election and could become more of a problem for GOP vote counters. Cruz saying, Bill Cassidy, Thom Tillis, John Cornyn, Rand Paul, those are 4 senators. We have a 53-47 majority. If you lose 4 senators, we're below 50, and you can't get anything done. That is going to be a complicating factor for the rest of the year. But it's not just that group that's posing problems for the White House. Tensions between Trump and Hill Republicans have spiked in recent weeks as lawmakers have grumbled that his recent decision from endorsing Cornyn's opponent to pushing politically toxic projects like funding for the East Wing Ballroom to that anti-weaponization settlement fund could cost the control of Congress. Trump still needs to get at least one major legislative package through the Hill this year, a package of tens of billions of dollars to fund U.S. immigration and customs enforcement and border enforcement that Democrats rejected in the most recent spending deal. But that immigration measure is now roiled by so many internal problems that some of the party aren't completely convinced it can be done by the midterms. If Republicans can, this is going to be the problem. They're going to blame Trump if Republicans lose in the midterms. We know that. But could it ever be pinned to the fact that there is going to be a lack of drive by Republican voters, that there's going to be this apathy, that they don't and we've heard it from people, and it's very frustrating to hear, but I understand the frustration, which is, okay, I went out and voted for these people, and what have they done? What have they accomplished? We have the House, the Senate, and the White House, and we can't get the SAVE Act, which is supported by something like 80% of voters. So the less that they do to forward Trump's agenda before the midterm, I think the better the chance of Republicans losing in the midterm. But they know that they could still blame it on Trump. They'll say, well, it was because of the ballroom. It's because of Iran. It was because of X, Y, and Z, not because they couldn't inspire Republicans to get out and vote. Because, again, Republicans saying, well, why do I keep voting for you if you can't accomplish anything? I don't think that's the right attitude. I want to preface all of this by saying that. But I think that's what we're seeing. So, anyway, your thoughts? Will John Cornyn being defeated so soundly, I mean, embarrassingly so, will he switch? Not officially, but will he go against Trump's agenda? Will he go against Republican priorities? That is the big question. Okay, we got to take a short break. We've got more on the votes last night. We can talk a little bit here about Iran. I do have a couple New York State updates, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Spring into savings at the Declaration of Deals this May at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And it comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save over $6,000 on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Just announced, go topless in a 2026 Jeep Wrangler. And as always, get the highest trade-in values, period. These deals won't last. Chilson Wilcox, selling cars a different way, the right way.
For years, I thought it was just stress. But then it felt like I was stuck in a state of panic, obsessed with worry that something bad would happen if I didn't complete endless rituals. I realized I couldn't solve this on my own. So I made the call. I found a doctor who diagnosed me with OCD. Little by little, she's helping me manage my symptoms. Now I'm able to live more in the present.
Mental health care works when you make the call.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Partly sunny today and warm, 85, a good 10 degrees above average. West-southwest winds overnight, a low of 53. Then 70 for our Thursday with some nice sunshine. We will stay dry with no widespread accumulating precipitation in the current forecast for the rest of the work week, the weekend, and as of now, the start of the new week as well as the new month.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, talking about Ken Paxton defeating Senator John Cornyn. They called the race at 9 o'clock. Called it. It was over. It was over the moment the polls closed. 49% of the vote had been counted. At the time of that call, Paxton led Cornyn 62.5% to 37.5%. Paxton's victory comes 1 week after President Trump gave him his complete and total endorsement, as we had mentioned earlier. Now, on Fox and Friends yesterday, Cornyn attempted to defend his record by saying, "I've supported the president's agenda the whole time that he's been president. I'm proud of the fact that we confirmed hundreds of justices, including 3 new Supreme Court justices." Cornyn also said he was the whip or the chief vote counter during his first term when Republicans passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and cited the Working Families Tax Cut Act as another example of his claimed support for Trump's agenda. Again, he had a tough road to hoe, but you would think when the media keeps telling us that MAGA has given up on Trump, kind of embarrassing in these last few elections. Oh, you know who else lost? Al Green. You may remember Representative Al Green. He wields a cane, and he normally shouts during the State of the Union. I can't remember what he was shouting, but his shtick kind of became getting kicked out of the State of the Union, getting dragged out by security. He was defeated decisively as well. Representative Christian Menefee defeated fellow Democrat Representative Al Green in Tuesday's Texas 18th Congressional District primary runoff, taking more than 2/3 of the vote when the Associated Press called the race. When they called the race, 61% of votes were counted, and Menefee led by 68.6%. The results mark a major intra-party defeat for Green, who has served in Congress for more than 21 years, and advances Menefee after a cycle in which both men were serving in Congress. Menefee entered Congress after running for the Houston-based 18th District seat previously held by the late Representative Sylvester Turner. Before entering Congress, Menefee served as Harris County attorney and had been Harris County's first black county attorney after ousting an incumbent in 2020. Menefee's record in Harris County and Congress included a focus on immigration. We don't have to go through his whole biography and what some of the scandals are in his career or Green. But Green's primary defeat came after a series of high-profile confrontations with President Trump and House Republicans. In March of 2025, Green disrupted Trump's address to Congress by standing, waving his cane, and yelling after Trump said he had a mandate from voters. Speaker Mike Johnson urged Green to take the seat and ordered the sergeant-at-arms to remove him from the chamber. The House voted 224 to 198 to 2 to censure Green, with 10 Democrats joining Republicans. A CNN poll found that 80% of viewers thought Green's outburst was inappropriate. He had put in a bill for impeachment. Al Green's kind of been a character, for 21 years. So Al Green defeated cane-wielding Trump critic Al Green, as the headline says, was defeated by about 37 percentage points. Wow. Also, they had some crazy characters yesterday. A woman was running, and this was in Texas as well, who vowed to force American Zionists into federal immigration detention centers where many who she claimed are also pedophiles would be castrated. Marianne Galindo was soundly defeated in her primary, whose, quote, insane anti-Semitic views, end quote, were denounced by members of her own party. She lost to opponent Johnny Garcia in the Lone Star State's 35th Congressional District runoff, 59.5% to 40.5%. Think about that, though. 40% of Democrats still supported her and the anti-Semitic insane views. Either Republican State Representative John Lugin or Air Force veteran Carlos de la Cruz will face off with Garcia in the November 3rd general election. She had kind of become more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost the punchline to a joke with some of the things that she had said in the past. She does want ICE facilities to be turned into a prison for the billionaire Zionists who have profited off of genocidal prison state materials and trafficking. Prosecution has nothing to do with religion. They could be evangelicals, Catholic, Mormons, Jewish, etc. It's also true she wants a whole department and TV channel of exposing pedophiles and, yes, sending them for castration at Carnes Prison, then move to prison with violent criminals. That was posted to her official website. So there you are. Losing as well. A big one is John Cornyn. Big takeaway. I mean, Al Green's pretty big. It's going to change the whole face of the State of the Union. But we've got a couple other updates. I do want to make sure we don't run too late, and I want to play that clip from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, because we got some good news out of the budget process yesterday when it came to EVs. So we're gonna, and electric mandates. So we'll play that here in just a little bit. Probably one more segment before that. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in, and we'll be right back.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Bottles and formula?
Got it.
Extra diapers?
Not making that mistake again. Got it.
A 3-day supply of non-perishable food for each person in your household in case the power goes out? You may be prepared for a lot of situations, but a natural disaster might not be one of them. Convoy of Hope can help make sure you're ready when disaster strikes. Convoy of Hope, providing hope in every storm.
I don't think all that's going to fit in there.
Post-military life isn't the end of service. It's the new mission. And the VFW is leading on the front line. We show up where it counts, where decisions are made, where the community needs a helping hand, and where today's veterans connect. It's a front line we know well, and we own it. The VFW, still leading, still advancing, still serving.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer, I combined voter and viewer. A viewer regarding the vote in Texas, for example. Are there any statistics about how many Republicans got out to vote versus the number of Democrats? I have not seen those numbers yet. I mean, it just happened yesterday. I haven't seen, and Texas is a little bit different. But, yeah, it would be interesting to see if there's that apathy, if there's just that because John Cornyn lost huge percentage-wise, it may not mean vote-wise. That's a really good question. I know just locally, when you look at the dismal numbers of people that went out and voted for school budget, I know it's a little different, but it makes you concerned. And with the primaries coming up, we got to scream from the rooftops. Less than a month away from the primaries, and a lot of local townships have primaries. It's important to get out and vote, but we'll remind you as it gets near. And of course, as always, if you're running for office or someone you know is running for office, reach out to me. I'd love to have them on the show. Okay. President Trump claimed doctors have no concerns following his more than 3-hour physical exam that happened yesterday, saying, quote, just finished my 6-month physical at the Walter Reed Military Medical Center. Everything checked out perfectly. Thank you to the great doctors and staff. A report with additional detail on Trump's evaluation will likely be released later this week. Trump is set to turn 80 on June the 14th, Flag Day, and sharp-eyed observers have often noted bruising on his hands, which the president attributes to heavy use of aspirin, as well as leg swelling from chronic venous insufficiency. The president and his top aides frequently crow about his physical and mental condition. I don't have to go through all this, but he had that yesterday. Now, did you see the photos that were leaked of Penn Station in New York? Penn Station's long-promised makeover is taking on a distinctly Trump-era look, complete with gold detailing, soaring classical architecture, and even a presidential seal bearing Donald Trump's name etched into marble, according to newly leaked internal plans for the overhaul of the nation's busiest rail hub. Architectural renderings and engineering documents obtained by Gothamist show a dramatic reimaging of the Midtown Transit Complex, which for decades was a dim eyesore, with cavernous ceilings, monumental staircases, brass-toned railings, and massive columns meant to evoke the grandeur of the original Penn Station, demolished back in the 1960s. But one detail is already likely to ignite some controversy. Near a planned entrance on 8th Avenue, the design includes a presidential seal alongside the words President Donald J. Trump carved into a stone wall. How much graffiti are they going to have to deal with? How much people trying to chip away at it? The feature appears near escalators standing in a new light-filled concourse where the theater at Madison Square Garden currently stands. The federal government seized control of the Penn State overhaul from the MTA last year, placing Amtrak in charge of the reconstruction efforts. Trump has since pushed to accelerate the project and direct the work to make sure it begins before the end of 2027. Yeah, that is going to be controversial in New York, but I wanted to pass it along to you. There's some breaking stories, not just the primaries. South Carolina Republicans blocked Trump's effort to gain more House seats. The failure to approve a new map in South Carolina preserved the district of Representative James E. Clyburn, a power broker within the Democrat Party, and the first black member of Congress elected from the state in nearly a century. His district was kept intact with a contingent of Republicans in the state Senate joining with Democrats to prevent approval of a new map. Those plans sputtered out just hours after a federal court blocked Alabama from using a map designed to give Republicans an edge in 6 of 7 congressional districts in the state. That victory for Democrats may be fleeting, as Republicans in the state promised to appeal the decision to the Supreme Court. The unanimous 3-judge panel ruled that Alabama could not use its map because the panel had years ago determined it, quote, represents an intentional effort to crack the black population in Alabama, end quote. Republicans across the South in recent weeks have sought to take advantage of that Supreme Court decision, but South Carolina Republicans blocked the effort, Trump's effort, to gain more House seats. Last time that did not go well for states that did that when it came to their reelection, but that is where we're at. Now, Trump is also very upset at Congress and the courts for holding up his ballroom. The president shared on social media a copy of legal filings that closely resembled his own words and contended that the weekend's shooting outside the White House campus proved the need for a ballroom. Quote, without the construction of this great project, the president cannot safely conduct the business of the United States, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. This is a terrible, tremendously harmful case to the United States of America and all it stands for. The filing also mocked the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is sued to halt the project, claiming that the group had been, quote, defunded by Congress due to a total lack of respect for them. The president was able to rapidly bulldoze the East Wing last year, clearing space for his planned 90,000 square foot addition. Trump has remade independent federal commissions, firing holdovers and installing loyalists, including his executive assistant, that have swiftly approved his project. He's raised vast sums of money that he says can be put toward the ballroom's estimated $400 million cost, but so far he has been constrained barely by the courts and Congress. So we'll be keeping a close eye on this, but needless to say, President Trump is not happy with the direction his ballroom is headed. It's just amazing to me because, as I said, that's going to be the litmus test for presidential candidates on the Democrat ticket, whether or not they are willing to bulldoze the ballroom after a Democrat gets, in their mind, elected to president. But that is, I guess, the biggest story. Okay, what we're going to do is we got some other breaking stories, just some looks at the Democrat Party in general. But before that, I do want to get to, we do have some Iran stuff, but I want to get to something in Phil Palmisano because I think this is important, what he had to say, and I don't want to forget it. There's 2 things, one from Senator Tom O'Mara, and one, because I really don't have a lot of New York State issues other than that, but these are important ones that I want to pass along to you. So when we return, we are going to hear from Phil Palmisano. He was in Albany, I believe this was yesterday, and they sent along the video, and we'll tell you a little bit about what the changes to the CLCPA were made in the state budget, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, that were part of the Transportation, Economic Development, and Environmental Conservation budget bill. We'll tell you about those changes when we return. Then we'll hear what Senator Tom O'Mara is up to in Albany as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
We asked a few motorcycle friends, why do you ride?
You can just shout out to the world and nobody can hear you.
I love going out for miles and miles, hours and hours by myself.
It's a thrill that you are constantly chasing.
It's a way to get free.
I love the twisty roads.
It's not about the destination, it's about the ride, right?
Folks that ride should know. At William Attar, we understand you. And if you're ever injured on a motorcycle, we're ready to help. Call 444-4444.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
To them used to be, before talking to 988.
I felt alone.
I thought seeing hard things was just part of the job. I thought that having a bad day at work meant I was failing. But then I connected with someone at 988.
A real person texted back. Someone listened without judgment.
Now I know. Now I know it's okay to let someone help me too.
And I'm stronger than I thought.
We hear you. Call, text, or chat 988.
Aboard Rocky Mountaineer, you'll traverse the Canadian Rockies with ease, where world-class service and conversations flow like a mountain river. Rocky Mountaineer.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Partly sunny today and warm, 85, a good 10 degrees above average. West-southwest winds overnight, a low of 53. Then 70 for our Thursday with some nice sunshine. We will stay dry with no widespread accumulating precipitation in the current forecast for the rest of the work week, the weekend, and as of now, the start of the new week as well as the new.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So as I mentioned, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano reacted yesterday to the changes in the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. We weren't sure how far this would go. I will say this has been kind of an issue for Governor Hochul, whether it's because she's running for re-election or just because of cost. I mean, we all talk about our gas bill. We all talk about our electric bill, what these policies are doing, the impossible goals that have been set. So we'll tell you exactly what was changed. But first, let's hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. This is from Albany yesterday.
A few quick things. In the provision I didn't talk about, I like the fact that we put the death gamble in this legislation to protect our corrections officers. We've been advocating for that. I like the fact that we did a 20-year reinstatement for our New York City retirement reinstatement for our New York City corrections officers to match the New York City Police Department and the New York City Fire Department. That will certainly help with recruitment and retention. And I like that we are making some changes to the CLCPA. Something we've been talking about, something we've been telling you that needed to be made. The auto insurance thing I'd just like to talk on real quick is that there's changes to liability issues and fraud. We need to make sure, and I haven't seen any quantification on how this will result in actual savings for New Yorkers. We need to make sure that does happen. On the pension system, I understand we are lowering the age group, retirement age for one group, but not everyone else, not the janitor, not the maintenance worker, not the laborer. And the other thing is, we made a promise back in 2011 that the state would pick up any enhancement costs for our localities. That we made some improvements earlier in the 2021, 2022. Those weren't picked up, and those utilities, those rate pay in those local municipalities have already seen that happen. I like the fact that we are changing to a 100-year methodology, which makes sense. I like the fact that we can deal with the cap and invest delays and delaying the CLCPA. And I like the fact that DC can consider affordability, reliability, and feasibility moving forward. And I think these are some of the things that we'll see But the fact of the matter is there's still no financial plan. We need a fiscal plan. And I think there are still some things missing. Yeah, there's no direct ratepayer relief in this budget bill. Yes, there's a $200 rebate, but in and of itself, it's not enough. No refund of the $2.4 billion that our ratepayers have already paid for this. Give them some direct relief. Suspend some of these taxes, fees, and surcharges that accompany about 20% of the bill. People want direct ratepayer relief now. They don't want to subsidize someone's EV purchase, someone's electric heat pump or electric lawnmower. And this budget bill kind of expands upon that from $7,500 to $33,000. Really? Are we listening? There's nothing in this bill that expands natural gas or encourages the supply of natural gas, nothing to deal with the pipeline constraints for natural gas, nothing to increase air permits to build new natural gas, nothing to slow down the electrification mandates. And in fact, in 2021, we've had 2 denials of air permits for new natural gas power plants. It's these green policy. I know the natural gas power prices are going up, and you cite that, but it's because of the green mandates that are making it more difficult. The NISO, who's charged with taking the light, turning the lights on, making sure the lights stay on, and the power stays on, have said this. We've said this, despite the fact, and we've been telling you this. By 2040, we still now, based on this law, would have to have no generation come from natural gas. Despite the fact that 60% of New Yorkers heat their homes with natural gas, 40% of our generation comes from natural gas. And natural gas has always been referred to as a bridge fuel, and the technology doesn't exist yet to get to where. We talk about advanced nuclear, carbon capture, sequestration, renewable natural gas, those types of things. The technology is not there yet. So why are we just looking to dismantle natural gas? We don't tear down a bridge before you build a new one. And I see constantly the blaming of the utilities, but failure to take responsibility for the policies, these green policy mandates that you keep implementing. Like I said, these delays are good, but remember, just recently, there was a report coming out saying if we don't make more significant changes, utility prices will go up to over $4,000 for New Yorkers. Price of a pump of gas, gallon of gas at the pump is going to be $2.23 a gallon more than what it is. Diesel, $2.41 more than what it is. Small and medium-sized commercial businesses, 46% higher, and 60% increase in delivery truck operations. This is not sustainable. This is not affordable. And the total cost of this whole program is more than $250 billion. Some say as much as $500 billion. That's more than our total state budget. And the fact that we don't have appointments on this committee is mind-blowing to me. The fact that we're going to take out people who have expertise in the industry, from power generation, from transmission, to understanding how the utilities work, someone who understands. I don't understand where we're going for that. We want reliable base load generation. We need to make sure there's people on this commission that really has that. We had that on the CLCPA, but we don't seem to have it now. And we doubled down on that language not to allow those people with that expertise. It's almost like you just want a rubber stamp for your failed policies. You don't want someone to come out and voice opposition or an honest discussion of how bad these policies are for affordability, how bad these policies are for reliability. We need to do better. We need to be smarter, and having a broad, diverse of opinion would help us in make this policy more effective, to make sure it's an affordable, reliable, feasible energy plan. So again, just passing it on, we need to look at the feasibility study, the cost-benefit analysis. And I'm glad the DC can look at this, but we should be doing an independent agency outside to do a true cost analysis. If this is such a good thing, let's say how much it's going to cost New York seniors, veterans, disabled, in true dollars and cents for our business. Let's do a feasibility study, true feasibility, show them that the grid can handle it. Work with the utilities, work with the NISO, work with the Public Service Commission to show that it can work, because it's not working. The NISO has already set the red flag, and we're looking at that more and more problematic because the work is not being done. It's not being thorough enough. I'm just afraid that we don't have the expertise on there. And I know this is all being done in the name of climate change and global emissions, but I remind my colleagues, New York only contributes 0.4% of global emissions. 0.4, China's 30%, has 1,000 coal plants and building more every day. And I remind you, this is not so much green policy. The only thing green about it was it's going to cost increased ratepayer dollars and increased taxes. And it's not so clean. And I've talked about in the past regarding the EV batteries, the cobalt and the lithium, using child labor from the Democratic Republic of Congo, mining for the cobalt to power the electric vehicle, poisoning water, rivers, and streams in the lithium triangle of Argentina. It's almost like it's okay if it's not happening here for these disadvantaged communities. They're the ones that are going to pay the brunt of it. We need to move forward because I think the policies in this House continue to look to dismantle the affordable, reliable natural gas infrastructure supply and delivery system. It's designed to take away consumer choice on how you heat your home, cook your food, power your building. It will jeopardize the reliability of the grid, leading to dangerous and deadly blackouts. And it will continue our nation leading out migration of more families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving the state. I assure you, myself, our conference, and more smart New Yorkers will continue to push for a common sense energy policy that prioritizes energy affordability, reliability, feasibility, safety, fuel diversity, and energy choice. Because, Madam Speaker, my colleagues, New Yorkers deserve nothing less. I will be voting in the negative on this. I know some of my colleagues may vote yes because of some of the other provisions, but I vote no and urge my colleagues to do the same. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And we thank Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. So the changes in the state budget to the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act include changing the methodology for carbon emission evaluation from a 20-year time frame to a 100-year time frame, requiring the Department of Environmental Conservation, the DEC, to create rules and regulations designed to achieve a 60% reduction in greenhouse emissions by 2040. Currently, it was 70% by 2030. Direct the DEC to consider the feasibility of a market-based cap and invest program and requiring DEC to assess the affordability, feasibility, and economic growth of the CLCPA. Palmisano said that while these changes are a step in the right direction, they do not go far enough, saying that CLCPA should be repealed. And you heard some of that in his speech, but the CLCPA goals and mandates are unaffordable, unreliable, and unrealistic. It has been designed to dismantle the reliable natural gas infrastructure supply and delivery system. It has been designed to eliminate consumer choice on how you heat your home, cook your food, power your building, and the vehicle you drive. Let me be perfectly clear, said Palmisano. While these changes are a small step in the right direction, more has to be done. With estimates now showing the total cost of implementing the CLCPA could exceed more than $500 billion. New Yorkers deserve a full independent cost and feasibility study to better understand the economic, energy reliability, and affordability impact these mandates will have on families, businesses, and ratepayers across the state. So thank you to the Assemblyman. When we return, I got an update on State Senator Tom O'Mara as well that I think it's heartwarming, and you're going to like this one when we return. But as always, we thank the Assemblyman for sending that clip in from Albany. We really do appreciate it. We got some great viewer comments coming up as well, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Some people who need Social Security disability benefits go to their hearing alone and get turned down. Not every lawyer will appeal a denial after your hearing. I will. I'm Peter Gorton of Lockman & Gorton. I help people win benefits by appealing their denials, including in federal court. But your time to appeal is limited, so call my office now.
Lockman & Gordon, 1-800-698-0567.
Hi, this is the owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at National CASA GA.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. At the New York Assembly, it looks like that Jackson guy went trick-or-treating. His desk is covered. Yes, I wondered if someone would comment on all the candy from the Sergeant of Arms there. That's who that is, the Sergeant of Arms. So I did notice that. Thank you. Comment from Mark who says, good morning. Well, good morning, Mark. Well, on January 6th, when Trump sent the Proud Boys and others to raise havoc, if there was a tunnel between the Capitol and the White House, Congress could have escaped to the secure ballroom, but it didn't exist. I will say I don't think that Trump sent them. I do think he wanted a peaceful protest. So I do have to differ from you on that, Mark. But the ballroom, for security reasons, it only makes sense. Not to mention the fact that we, as taxpayers, are paying to rent those tents and heaters to have it in the lawn. It makes no sense. Okay, comment from a different viewer. This is a really sweet one. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Thank you for keeping us so informed. I knew a question on Jeopardy the other night about Europe's ban on smoking because of your show, and the contestant didn't know it. I think they should start watching, frankly speaking. I think so too. Didn't we just have, wasn't there just a person on Jeopardy from Ithaca? They could have been watching. I hope that wasn't who it was. But yes, well, good. I'm glad we're helping you out on Jeopardy. So Senator Tom O'Mara, at a ceremony in the Legislative Office Building at the state capitol, recognized and inducted Dennis E. Oliver, a well-known and longtime service officer from the Steuben County Veterans Service Agency, into the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame. Oliver, a United States Air Force veteran, represented O'Mara's 58th Senate District and joined approximately 60 other veterans from throughout the state inducted into the Hall of Fame yesterday. Now, I'm going to read the Senator Tom O'Mara's quote, but I'm going to put the photos up on the screen while I do. So Senator O'Mara said, Dennis Oliver served our nation with distinction and then devoted his life's work to looking out for veterans and their families across Steuben County and throughout New York State. Dennis has offered an unwavering commitment to the critical work of ensuring that veterans and their families receive the programs and services they deserve, need, and have earned. He is well known and respected for always being there for our veterans and for always going above and beyond to provide assistance. His compassion, excellence, pride, and respect have been a lifeline to countless veterans and families whose quality of life has been improved and strengthened because of Dennis. It is a great honor to have this opportunity to induct Dennis Oliver into the Senate Veterans Hall of Fame, through which we hope to ensure that military service to our nation and civilian commitment to our local communities and veterans will always be remembered. Dennis has impacted the lives of so many veterans and families throughout our region and state, and I'm proud to express our collective gratitude and respect for his service. Oliver was nominated for this year's Hall of Fame class by Randy Metz of Bath, also a United States Air Force veteran who has known and worked with Oliver for more than 2 decades on various veterans-related endeavors. Now, the Senate established its online Veterans Hall of Fame back in 2005. Including this year, it has inducted more than 1,000 veterans from throughout New York. The Hall salutes New York veterans for their service to the U.S. Armed Forces and their civilian accomplishments. State senators annually select one veteran to represent their respective legislative district. And again, you can find that all online. And you can find just search the Senate Online Veterans Hall of Fame. You can read all of the biography and who else has been inducted. So first of all, congratulations to Dennis Oliver, and thank you to Senator Tom O'Mara for passing that along. I thought that was nice. All right, we got to take a short break, then we're going to wrap up hour number 1. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Every journey is a shared experience. On the road, every decision has an impact, especially the decision to speed. Every mile per hour matters. Your speed affects more than just you. Ride and drive, as if everyone's life depends on it. Together, riders and drivers can save lives.
Join the Steuben Senior Services Fund for Bubbly and Brunch, Sunday, July 26th at the Corning Museum of Glass in Corning at 11 a.m. Enjoy a wonderful brunch experience while supporting a cause that helps local seniors remain safe, independent, and comfortable in their own homes. Gather with friends, raise a glass, and make a meaningful difference. Bubbly and Brunch, July 26th at 11 a.m. For tickets and event details, visit SteubenSeniorServicesFund.org.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Partly sunny today and warm, 85, a good 10 degrees above average. West-southwest winds overnight, a low of 53. Then 70 for our Thursday with some nice sunshine. We will stay dry with no widespread accumulating precipitation in the current forecast for the rest of the work week, the weekend, and as of now, the start of the new week as well as the new month.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, getting ready to wrap up hour number one. In the next hour, we're going to be talking about the Chemung County Fair. It's a little ways off, but it's never too early to talk about the fair. All right, on a sad note, Pam Bondi has been diagnosed with thyroid cancer. She was diagnosed shortly after President Trump removed her as Attorney General. Bondi, 60 years old. Hard to believe. Is that right? No way. Pam Bondi, 60 years old? According to this piece, Bondi is. But did I find that? Yeah. Pam Bondi is 60 years old. Born November 17th, 1965. That just surprises me. But she underwent treatment for the disease and is recovering, according to Axios. The revelation comes amid a report Trump had tapped Bondi to serve on an AI-focused advisory committee. Bondi, who was fired from her perch at the Justice Department on the same day she accompanied the president to the Supreme Court to watch oral arguments in a major birthright citizenship case, will be on the Presidential Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, according to Axios. The ex-Attorney General received praise on social media for how she's handled the dreaded diagnosis, saying, quote, Pam has been quietly kicking cancers behind the last few weeks, said Katie Miller. Bondi has a heart of gold. Most thyroid cancers are permanently curable with treatment, according to the Cleveland Clinic. Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, secretly battled thyroid cancer while serving a high-profile role in the White House during the president's first term, he revealed in his memoir. I don't know why that got in there. So, former Attorney General Pam Bondi, our thoughts and prayers go out to her and her successful healing. Wish her a quick turnaround. Okay. I was shocked to hear that. We've got a couple other things about the Trump administration. There's a piece by Douglas McKinnon, and I have not, in full disclosure, I've not watched it yet. I'm excited to now. Pete Hegseth's anti-DEI speech at West Point. We're going to talk about that. We also have a few things here about the president in general, a few things about the Democrat Party. As we had mentioned, if you are just joining us, Ken Paxton defeated John Cornyn. Easily defeated him. Trump endorsed Paxton last week. Major win, almost 30-point victory. Also, there's other names that are important. But Al Green, who has made a name for himself by disrupting the State of the Union, he was ousted, by a fellow Democrat in that primary. Being a congressman for 21 years, the State of the Union just won't look the same. We also have some updates on Iran. And what else we got? We got a lot going on. And as I mentioned, we're going to talk with the Chemung County Fair, find out what's happening this year, what's on the schedule, what's new. We talk about that in the next hour as well. We got guests on tomorrow's program, Friday's program. We've been super busy lately, and I'm so glad that you joined us. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the waves. Keep them coming in. And we got a lot to update you on when we return. But as I mentioned quickly, because I don't want to start a brand new topic with only 1 minute left, not even 1 minute left. But as I mentioned earlier, if you are running for office, someone you know is running for office, the primary is coming up on June 23rd, folks. Less than a month. Let's get you on the schedule. Let's get you in the show. It doesn't have to be live. We can pre-tape it if that's more conducive to your schedule. You see that number on the bottom of the screen. Just reach out. Because if I can't reach out to everybody, just the nature of it, I don't want to look like I'm playing favorites. I want to have all candidates on. So if you know someone running, you're running, just reach out to them, or you yourself call, and let's get the ball rolling on this. Because I want to have as many candidates on before June 23rd, and then, of course, as many candidates on before the general election in November. So please reach out. We've already had a couple but we want to definitely get more before the primary, because there are going to be races, and it's going to be tough for these candidates to get the turnout, because in some instances it's the only candidate on the ballot, the two Republicans, because Democrats have a primary for Congress and for state comptroller. So if there's a Republican primary, it's for something like town council, it's for something like to that level. So it's going to be a tough one for candidates to get out the vote. So that's why you have to mark your calendar and make sure you get out the vote. Because right now, local elections, Republicans only in the primary. This is just for Republicans. Town of Campbell, Corning, Irwin, Lindley, Rathbone. So if you are a Republican in those areas, make sure you mark your calendar. All right, that does it for hour number one. Hour number two, moments away. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Oh, wrong button. After this.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
It's Monday again, but I love this job. It was hard to get though. No one gave me a chance.
I found a problem, it fixed.
Perfect. Thank you, Joshua.
Aren't you glad we hired him?
Yes, I am.
Don't underestimate people with disabilities. Visit thearc.org/yes to see what's possible.
And we welcome you to hour number two of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So I meant this, if you've seen it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But if you've not read, watched, or listened to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's recent commencement address at West Point, you really should take the time to do so, says Douglas McKinnon. It's about protecting the lives of you and your family. During his desperately needed remarks, the Secretary of War reminded the cadets before him that, quote, the battlefield does not grade on a curve, and you can't throw your pronouns at the enemy. Combat is the ultimate test, and our best Americans must ace it. That's a great line. Hegseth then rightfully singled out the United States Military Academy by calling out the woke and weak leaders who sought to transform West Point into a woke Princeton. It's a good point, too. He said the combat decorated secretary in part regarded these leaders of West Point. Let me say that again. Said the combat decorated secretary in part regarding those leaders of West Point. They embraced the DEI craze and tried to introduce diversity and inclusion studies. They hired professors who advocated for anti-American ideologies right here in these halls. How correct Hegseth is. On this point, Douglas McKinnon said he's personally connected with the warning the Secretary of War delivered, West Point and the Secretary himself. And they go through the history of some of the things that they were seeing at West Point. With regard to Hegseth himself, while staying on the grounds of West Point, I had the honor to speak with him one-on-one several times. To say that he is one who deeply cares about our military and the exceptionalism of our nation would be a vast understatement. He just proves so with his words calling out the destructive DEI and what is deliberately visiting upon our military. During his commencement speech, Hegseth also reminded all, many of you, even in your short time in uniform, have endured what I call the slow slide of the U.S. Army. You've seen standards lowered. You've seen an obsession with race and gender. You've seen the watering down of discipline, codes weakened, and traditions tossed aside in the name of political correctness, statues taken down, paintings placed in the basement. It is here I would like to make the most critical point of all, for it's not just the Army or military in which we see standards lowered, an obsession with race and gender, the watering down of discipline, codes weakened, and traditions tossed aside in the name of political correctness, but in every single occupation which ultimately holds the precious lives of American citizens in its hands. For those occupations are police and fire departments, the healthcare industry, the airline and transportation industry, air traffic controllers, 911 operators, and our utilities, all in the age of Obama and Biden, which have become infused with draconian DEI edicts, which have dangerously watered down the quality and effectiveness of those occupations. Hegseth's warning about the corrosive and nation-weakening effect of DEI in our military applies as much or more to those fields, jobs which every single day do hold the lives of every single American citizen in their hands in one way or another. I don't believe identity politics should be the metric used to fill a job. Real-world experience and merit should be the only criterion when seeking to fill any position. But most especially when it comes to our military, our police, our firefighters, our doctors, our nurses, and our pilots, identity politics should never be employed. Hegseth's West Point commencement address should be superimposed over all those occupations. The welfare, health, and very lives of all Americans depend on those careers and callings being filled only by those qualified. Regardless of race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, we need the best of the best to protect us. A common sense and life-saving point every American should agree on. Okay, moving along, President Trump yesterday slammed crooked Biden after the ex-president sued the DOJ. President Trump attacking his predecessor, Joe Biden, who sued the Justice Department in a bid to block the release of audio recordings and transcripts of his interview with a ghostwriter. We know he has been fighting the release of these transcripts and of the audio, but now he's gone far enough that he's suing the DOJ. All Trump said is a three-word rebuke on Truth Social yesterday, saying, a crooked politician. Biden's lawyer argued that the disclosure would constitute an unwarranted invasion of President Biden's privacy. There's a lot of red flags why he doesn't want this released. Every American, including a sitting or former vice president, has a right to privacy in the personal conversations he has within his own home. And when the U.S. Department of Justice obtains the private information through a criminal investigation, the department bears a particular responsibility to protect it from disclosure. So this is his ghostwriter when he's writing memoirs for Biden. Trump has now slammed crooked Biden after they sued the Department of Justice. Okay, as I mentioned in the 6 o'clock hour, if you are just joining us, you have John Cornyn being easily defeated by Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton, who just received the endorsement of President Trump last week. Paxton now faces off against Representative James Talrico. That should be an interesting race. Now, James Talrico, he doesn't have his biggest champion, which was Stephen Colbert. Remember, Stephen Colbert refused to interview Jasmine Crockett, but only interviewed James Talrico. Cornyn, speaking to reporters after the race was called, said, I've always supported the Republican ticket, and I intend to do so again in this general election. Paxton, in his victory speech, said, I want to thank John Cornyn for his service to the state. John has dedicated much of his life to serving Texans. He's worked diligently for years to help Texas, and for the spirit of service to the Lone Star State and our nation, I'm very grateful. We need to come together as a Republican Party. I think John Cornyn will be part of that. I think his voters will be too. Trump targeted Cornyn as very disloyal as he backed Paxton in the final days of the runoff campaign. The ballot box showdown in right-leaning Texas served as the latest test of Trump's immense grip over the Republican Party and the strength of his endorsement in GOP nomination races. So it was interesting because Trump kind of sat on the sidelines, didn't endorse. There was a lot of questions of what he would do if he would endorse anybody. But he finally did last Tuesday, saying Ken is a true MAGA warrior who has always delivered for Texas and will continue to do so in the United States Senate. So, of course, we know that with Cornyn, You add to the list with Cassidy and Thomas Massey. You have a party that was supposedly turning on Trump, going out and voting as Trump asks them. So that'll be an interesting race as he takes on James Telrico. James Telrico defeated Jasmine Crockett. They're trying to present Telrico as someone completely different than who he is, as not radical, as trying to present him as a moderate. That's going to be interesting how the media carries on with that message. And also, if you are just joining us, cane-wielding Trump critic. He has articles of impeachment. I think the moment Trump got sworn in, he makes a fuss at the State of the Union. Al Green has lost his Democrat House primary runoff to fellow Congress member Kristen Menefee. So there you go. There's your couple of updates. All right. Where do we go from here? It is being reported that the U.S. plans to cut bombers and fighter jets and warships available to NATO allies in time of war. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth informed senior NATO officials in Brussels last week that the U.S. would shrink its available resources for the bloc, including cutting the number of strategic bombers by half. The number of U.S. fighter jets deployed would be cut by a third. American envoy Alexander Vels Green told NATO members. The U.S. Navy reportedly said it would no longer provide nuclear submarines to the alliance and deploy fewer destroyers than before. Now, there's been a lot of people talking of us leaving NATO after how I think they were so disrespectful in how they handled everything and continue to handle with Iran. The U.S. would also keep all of its reconnaissance drones, tough one, to itself while scaling back the availability of its attack UAVs. The push to reduce U.S. forces in Europe, which began as a Cold War bulwark against the Soviet Union, has accelerated under Trump, who has long criticized NATO members for failing to fund their own defense and letting their military capabilities languish. Europe has ramped up its defense spending in recent years following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. currently has about 68,000 active duty troops in Europe and bases across the continent. The most are stationed in Germany. Pentagon Police Chief Elbridge Colby has previously stated that the U.S. will continue to use its nuclear weapons to protect NATO members. More details of America's decision to scale back its alliance with the defense bloc is expected to be released in early June. The move comes after Trump slammed NATO for its lack of support on his decision to go to war with Iran and to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by force, as well as a failed bid to take control of Greenland. I think the Greenland part is overhyped. I think what we saw is when we needed them, they weren't even letting us use their Air Force bases, many. There's been talks of just completely withdrawing from NATO. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said last week that the bloc is expected to shift from the U.S., with the defense bloc looking to eliminate its over-reliance on a single ally. Oh, now they notice that? I guess it sparked panic, according to the Daily Mail out of the United Kingdom. And we mentioned the military envoy with Pete Hegseth. Blindsided senior NATO officials. Really? Why would they be blindsided? We've talked about completely withdrawing from NATO. We've talked about the disastrous way NATO handled Iran. Why would they not think for a moment that there could be, well, because let's face it, past presidents wouldn't do it, Obama, Biden. So in this case, they thought they were still fine. They thought they could play both sides to the middle, both ends to the middle. And they bit off more than they could chew. Now, Velez Green stressed the U.S. is prepared to cooperate closely only with allies who move quickly to plug the gaps left by Washington's withdrawal. Some officials in the secret meeting interpreted the message as an indirect threat. Okay. And do you see that as being a problem? Hegseth's envoy stressed the U.S. is prepared to cooperate closely only with NATO partners who act quickly to close the gaps left by Washington's scaling back of support. The Trump administration plans to pull out of, you don't need to know, we already talked about that. Interesting. Well, I know a lot of people have been calling for us just to completely withdraw, so this should come as no surprise, even if they say that they were blindsided. Now, Putin, we've mentioned his kind of paranoia for a potential assassination fear. Putin closes airspace in Moscow over these fears, closed to all private planes and helicopters as fear of an assassination attempt mounts. The area slated for closed airspace up to altitude of 16,700 feet is roughly 4 times the size of the United Kingdom. It stretches over a swath of central Russia from the border with Belarus in the west, north of the St. Petersburg flight zone, east towards the Urals, and joins an already restricted area in the south, close to the war zone, where fighting had been banned for 4 years. It also comes amid increasing fears of the ability of long-range Ukrainian unmanned planes to strike Moscow. So I guess they also told Marco Rubio, that U.S. citizens should leave Kiev ahead of systematic strikes on the Ukrainian capital. All right. Russia said on Tuesday its government has warned U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to evacuate diplomats and American citizens from Kiev as Moscow plots fresh strikes on the Ukrainian capital. So they claim he's created a level of paranoia at this point, where he's bunkered down because he's afraid of assassination attempts or kind of palace intrigue by his own people, his own security forces. And now starting a new plot, it looks like, to go after Ukraine. All right, we got to take a short break, though. Stay with us. Keep those waves, keep those texts coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Simmons Rockwell Nissan, lease a brand new 2026 Nissan Sentra SV front-wheel drive sedan for only $309 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Ornell.
First life moment. Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. Your kids may be eligible now, even if you've applied before. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Get started now at insurekidsnow.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon. Weathers partly sunny today and warm, 85, a good 10 degrees above average. West-southwest winds overnight, a low of 53. Then 70 for our Thursday with some nice sunshine. We will stay dry with no widespread accumulating precipitation in the current forecast for the rest of the work week, the weekend, and as of now, the start of the new week as well as the new month.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. A comment from Steve. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Steve. One has to remember that the UK and NATO nations that allowed the migration of Muslims into their country can't do anything about Iran because of the fear that they have. They're not only allowed radicals into their country, but they also allow no-go zones and Sharia law courts. If they do anything, they know that they will be attacked, and they are so vulnerable that they can't even defend themselves. So yes, we need to pull out of NATO. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Now, Iran's supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, would have to approve any final deal with the U.S. through secret courier networks while remaining... Courier, right? Yeah, I can't think of how to exactly say that. While remaining in hiding as a designated target, according to counterterrorism experts. Courier network. The unprecedented arrangement, they claim, means Washington is negotiating a high-stakes accord with an entirely invisible counterpart and a potential memorandum signed by a regime leader and his designated target who can never publicly show his face. And as of right now, we've never seen him. We've never heard him speak. Khamenei is a designated target, and every confirmed sighting is a coordination. Yes. The courier system used for messaging is not transitional. It's the operating system of his rule. Any deal the United States signs will have to be designated for a permanently invisible counterparty whose enforcement depends on his continued survival. That is not arms control as it has been conventionally understood. It is a memorandum signed under American military pressure with a regime leader whose leader cannot show his face. This comes after Secretary of State Marco Rubio explained to reporters in India why the deal was suffering delays. He said it's just the response. I mean, when you go down on some of these things, you've got to hear back. And it takes the Iranians, takes them a little bit longer to get back. This is Secretary Rubio confirming the courier latency on the record, said Dr. Omar Mohammed. Rubio is describing a structural feature of negotiating with a supreme leader no one can locate. Mojabi is in hiding. Messages are moving and responses are arriving days late. Rubio just confirmed the symptom, and the administration is being honest about the problem. The question is whether the framework can be designed to survive it. All right. Now, Iran's supreme leader has warned the U.S. will have no safe haven. In a written message, always a written message, marking the pilgrimage to Mecca, Khamenei described Israel as a cancerous tumor, echoed his father's prediction that the Jewish state would not survive another 25 years from a decade ago, effectively placing Israel's destruction within roughly 15 years, and warned that regional nations would no longer serve as shields for American military bases. Death to America and death to Israel shall become the common chants of the Islamic nation and the world's oppressed, especially among the youth, he wrote. He also called on Muslims to pray for the liberation of Palestine and the Al-Aqsa Mosque and for final victory against global arrogance, a term the regime routinely uses to describe the United States. The shaken Zionist regime and the cancerous tumor of Israel are approaching the final stages of their wretched existence, he said. The United States not only will no longer have a safe haven for its mischief and for establishing military bases in the region, but day by day is growing more distant from its former status. So that is the message from Iran's supreme leader that we have yet to see, who there's been rumors that he could be dead. There's been rumors that he's gravely injured. Mojabi Khamenei, who has not been seen or heard from in the public since succeeding his slain father, declared death to America, death to Israel would become the rallying cries, and that the Jewish state is nearing its final stage of existence. Now, a former CENTCOM commander, General Joseph Votel, said Iran's reported effort to lay mines in the Strait of Hormuz suggests Tehran is hedging its bets and attempting to ramp up pressure on the U.S. amid ongoing negotiations. Clearly, the Iranians are trying to hedge their bets here and put more pressure on the U.S., and what we saw here was CENTCOM detecting that and then taking military action to address it very, very quickly. Votel praised CENTCOM's swift response as an effective use of military force, while noting that both military and diplomatic efforts will likely be needed moving forward. How am I doing on time here? All right, we got a couple other things here about Iran. Stay with us. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. When we return, we're going to hear from the Chemung County Fair. We're going to hear all about the festivities, what they have planned for this year, how you can help, how you can get involved to make sure it's as successful as ever. So that's coming up when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
William Matar has earned a reputation for being a straight shooter.
Because I am a straight shooter.
For being honest.
Here's what we're willing to pay.
Because I am honest.
For winning a lot.
Because we win a lot.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Matar. Visit WilliamMatar.com.
Millions fly with us at Allegiant because together we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Simmons Rockwell, you'll find brand new 2026 Chrysler Pacifica Select all-wheel drive passenger vans for only $43,999 during the Declaration of Deals event going on now at Simmons Rockwell Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Bath.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School. College first-round draft pick during the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father and as a husband. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, it's hard to believe it's already time to talk about the Chemung County Fair. We're a little early.
Yes, a little early.
A little early, but we want to plant people in people's mind that it's coming up August 4th through the 8th because there's a lot going on in the summer. And people's schedules get away from them. Yes. So get your calendar out now. Mark the calendar. How's the planning going? Because I'm sure you've been working since the last time we talked.
Yeah, it's going. Yeah, it starts the day after the last one.
Yeah.
But it's going fantastic. We're pretty much set with grandstand acts. We have all our midway acts going, and still getting a few vendors in. But no, it's going very well.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're always looking for new vendors, or
always looking for new vendors, new sponsors, or new volunteers. Anybody wants to help us can go on ChemungCountyFair.com and sign up to be a sponsor, to be a volunteer, and our contact information's on there if they want to call us to say, hey, we got ideas or anything like that.
You've got so much going on this year. Well, let's start with this. What's new for this year?
New for this year, we're bringing back, we had the Battle of the Bands last year, and we actually thought it'd be good. We're bringing back the Battle of the Bands that won it back in the 80s. So we're having a rock revival with Fright and Rust. With the original band members are coming back.
Wow.
So we're pretty excited about it.
When's the last time they played?
The last time, they play a little local, but it's been 4 or 5 years since they played together.
Yeah.
And so we're looking forward to that. And they got a great following, so we want to pack the stands and get people out there.
Rust and Fright together on Tuesday, August 4th, and that's obviously the Chemung County Fairgrounds. Just $10 for a ticket. And this is something I want to stress. It's such an affordable week at the fair.
Yes, we're trying to make it so families can come in and it doesn't cost a fortune to bring your family down.
Right.
Ride some rides, see some animals, and see some nice midway acts and grandstand acts.
And I'm not sure what year you started this, but I think it's such a great idea. Each day has its own day set aside for a group. Right?
Yes, this is my 3rd year, and I think they had it before, but we brought it back.
That's what it was.
We have theme days. We have senior citizens, first responders, Veterans Day, and then Saturday is Family Day.
And Family Day is free admission on Saturday, August 8th for everyone.
For everyone, yep.
Yeah.
The only thing, if you come in, you have to pay for parking, but free admission for everything else.
And what a good idea. And I'm assuming that's a huge success. Do you notice you see the veterans with their hats and you see the senior citizens? I think it's a nice idea to make this encompassing for everybody in the community.
Yeah. And we have great sponsors that each take a day. Yep. Casella takes one, and we have Chemung Supply and Hilliard's, and actually Casella and the Chemung County Executive is doing Family Day for us this year.
Isn't that wonderful? And I mean, that's one thing that you've got to say, and this is why the Chemung County Fair, you can tell it's so important to the community. So many sponsors want to be involved. They want their name attached to this.
Yes, we've had a fantastic businesses helping us out, and the ones we've started with have stayed with us every year.
Yeah.
So those 3 years, and we've gained a couple more this year. And
that's great.
And we hope to get out there and talk more about it.
Yeah, get even more sponsors. You can never have too many sponsors.
No, you never have to. Well, everything we can get sponsored, we can put more on the midway, more in the grandstands. It gives us money to put into the fair, but not have to pass that on to somebody that wants to attend the fair.
Exactly, and that's why you keep it affordable. And so, as always, thank you to the sponsors. Now, we talked about Rock Revival. So many things we can talk about. What are you looking forward to the most out of all of that?
No, just seeing the kids come in and have fun. And we're doing a lot of renovations. We've probably done $500,000 worth of renovations to make it family friendly.
Wow.
So we like to hear if people like the way we've concreted a lot of floors so people can run their strollers and stuff like that. Redoing a commercial building and make it more inviting for families.
That's great. And this is one I have to call out because I go to this at the Steuben County Fair, now the Chemung County Fair. Swifty racing pigs. I think the racing pigs are the greatest thing that's ever happened to a fair.
And they're so hard to get because when we tried to get them, I went to Steuben County Fair last year. They've been going there for, I think, 38 years in a row.
Yeah.
And they were not available. We had to go to a different company, but we did get them in, and they're coming back this year. Swifty Racing.
I talk about it so much that 2 years ago, someone sent me Live, Eat, Pig Racing. And then last year they got me Pig Racing Guru book where I could take notes to handicap the pigs. But I think it's just such a fun family event, and the kids love it.
Yes.
And so that's one of just many things. You've got a rodeo, what isn't great about a rodeo?
Yes.
Yeah. And now who's providing the rodeo?
Reese Ranch Rodeo.
Oh yeah.
Jake and Katie Reese. Mm-hmm. And actually, crossing the racing pigs this year, we're going to have the Flying Walandas, which is a high wire act.
Yeah.
That's going to be right there across them. So you'll be able to watch the pig races and walk across and watch the high wire act.
My goodness, there's a lot going on. Then you've got a truck tractor pull.
Yes, the tractor pull is Wednesday. We had to move it to a Wednesday instead of a weekend, but we hope we still get a good turnout. Thursday's the rodeo, Friday's the truck pull, then Saturday's the demolition derby with an antique tractor pull that morning.
Oh, that's really cool. An antique tractor. That must be fun to watch. Probably pretty noisy. Excuse me, I couldn't think of the word there. But that's some of those what do they call them? Stutter stops or whatever they are. So demolition derbies have become so popular.
Yes. And we were lucky. We got Mike Rice out of Bath that runs it for us. And we're excited that we're able to have it on a weekend. Yeah. So we think we'll have a lot more cars and a lot more folks
I would think
there.
So. People take that seriously.
And I think they're bringing back the lawnmower demolition derby again. So we did lawnmowers last year.
We talked about this last year. How did that go?
That went fantastic. Yeah. People loved it. Hopefully we can get the rules out sooner so we can get more attendance in there. But it was a ball to watch them.
Oh, I'm sure.
People actually like them almost as good as
I was going to say, well, because you've never seen anything like it. It's kind of like the novelty of the pig races. Yes. You get to see the novelty. So do people sign up, whether it's the derby, the actual car derby, or actually lawnmower, do they sign up themselves and bring their own equipment? Is that how that works?
They have to sign up. There's a whole rule book and sign up sheet on our website. Yeah. And then there's an inspection when they come there, but they bring their own cars and stuff. And then Mike Rice and his team will do the inspections and then run that for us all.
Can I bring my push mower?
You can. I don't know how you fare out.
No, I don't think I do pretty good. I don't think I do very well either way. But it's just amazing how much you can pack in for just those few days.
Yes.
So when we talk about the planning lasting from the beginning or the end of last year, it's probably pretty accurate.
Yes, we start the day after.
Yeah.
And actually, we're talking to people during the fair to say, hey, can you come back? Can you do that? Because there is a lot of other fairs going on, so
that's what I was going to ask.
There's a lot of loyalty out there.
There's got to be so much competition with vendors, even local vendors.
Yes.
And you've got, like you said, the Midway games. You've got Swifty Racing Pigs. These type of things. You probably have to get on their calendar pretty early.
Yes, we're pretty much booked by January.
Is that right?
Yeah, you have to be. Wow. Yeah. And you might get a few extras, but in January we go to a convention, and that's where you try to get everything set up, if not before.
Okay. Where's the convention?
Last year was in Rochester.
Oh, okay.
And,
I didn't know it was one of those ones you got to go to Vegas or something.
No, it doesn't go. Somewhere's in New York State.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So again, you said always use volunteers, always use sponsors. There's so many things to sign up for. What if people have never been to the Chemung County Fair? Before we go, what would you tell them to expect from these days?
Just a lot of fun. I think to come in and see some animals that you don't usually see, and 4-H kids that have worked all summer to actually come there and compete against other people and see the animals, and fun rides. And you got to get the hot sausage and the funnel cakes.
So funnel cakes. And there's so many, too much food at these things. It's amazing what they can fry, isn't it?
Pickles.
I know. You look at this and this is not healthy, but you have so much fun. And like I said, everything's affordable. And I think kudos to you and everybody involved. How many people are on your planning board?
There's 15 on the board.
15. Yep. But kudos to, because you can tell your priority is keeping it affordable when there's so much competition, keeping it affordable for families, because it can get expensive in the summer, I'm sure.
Yep. And then we have 16 under free, and then $3 to get in and $5 to park.
Yeah.
And then on theme days, whatever part of that is, if you're a senior, you're free admission. First responders free admission, and like I say, Saturday is free for everybody.
Yep, you got Wednesday Military Appreciation Day, Thursday Senior Citizen Day, Friday First Responders Day, and then Saturday's Family Day, free admission for everyone. Well, I know we'll be talking again because it is in August, but we wanted to get this on everybody's calendar, so mark it down. And I'll say best of luck with the planning. Let us know if there's anything we can do.
Oh, we appreciate you,
All right,
sir.
we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Performance, precision, control, trust. Young's Tires is where performance meets the road. Michelin high performance tires are built for exacting standards. That's why installation has to be right every time. Young's Tires, because at speed, details matter.
You think swimming pools? Think Hesselson's. Hesselson's offers expert advice, professional service, and a complete line of chemicals and accessories. Replacement liners, motors and pumps, automatic vacuums, skimmers, ladders, steps, and more. Hesselson's has it all. Do you have a chemical question? Come in for Hesselson's free computerized water analysis and the widest selection of chlorine and specialty chemicals. With Hesselson's help, you can clean up any pool problem and swim in sparkling clean water. Let Hesselson's show you how easy it can be to take care of your swimming pool. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Join the Men's Senior Services Fund for Bubbly and Brunch, Sunday, July 26th at the Corning Museum of Glass in Corning at 11 a.m. Enjoy a wonderful brunch experience while supporting a cause that helps local seniors remain safe, independent, and comfortable in their own homes. Gather with friends, raise a glass, and make a meaningful difference. Bubbly and Brunch, July 26th at 11 a.m. For tickets and event details, visit SteubenSeniorServicesFund.org.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Partly sunny today and warm, 85, a good 10 degrees above average. West-southwest winds overnight, a low of 53. Then 70 for our Thursday with some nice sunshine. We will stay dry with no widespread accumulating precipitation in the current forecast for the rest of the work week, the weekend, and as of now, the start of the new week as well as the new.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Ken had a great question. I had pre-recorded that interview, and I apologize. But I know we do have some farmers that watch this program. How bad is the war in Iran affecting fertilizer prices, and how big an impact that is in prices for vegetables and dairy? If you believe the legacy media, it's having a huge impact on prices. Thank you, Ken. We'll reach that. We'll send that out for all of our farmers out there. Comment from a different viewer. Trump is 9-0 on senator endorsements and 10-1. That's, I think, an 8-0 on government. It got all broke up. I apologize. I'm not skipping it. Trump is 9-0 senator endorsements, 10-0 congressional, or 101-0 congressional endorsements. Is that right? And 8-0 on governor endorsements. MAGA is unstoppable. Thank you very much. Former White House press secretary Ari Fleischer said that I'm less interested now in what Iran is saying, and I'm more focused on what they're doing. The very fact that they got caught laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz is every indication of their true motives. I think it's always dangerous to want a deal more than the Iranians do. And that's the no local news. Yeah, there's no local news about what? Ooh, about what? No local news about this. Thanks. I haven't seen any. What are you referencing? Please send in more info. All right, so Michael Goodwin says the news that President Trump has taken the unusual step of calling a full cabinet meeting Wednesday suggests, among other things, he's exploring ways to jumpstart the maddeningly slow talks with Iran. And I know this was canceled. It was a Camp David summit, but the brainstorming is necessary because it is crystal clear that Trump gave peace a chance, a very good chance, but the mullahs aren't willing to meet his generous terms. The biggest question now is whether there is anything more within reason he can do to sweeten the offer, or whether Iran simply has no intention of ever getting to yes. No doubt there also will be a political dimension to the conversations, and that the war is unpopular at home and growing more so the longer it goes on. Its effect on rising energy prices and inflation are a major part of the GOP worry that Trump's party could lose control of both chambers of Congress in November. Impeachment of the president would likely be among the Democrats' first orders of business. As they proved in his first term, they don't need facts to bring charges, only party unity around the idea that voters made a mistake or were deceived. It's a way of overturning elections. Moreover, the stakes in Iran are growing again because even the tenuous ceasefire is coming under severe stress. The U.S. conducted what it called self-defense airstrikes late Monday against 2 Iranian ships it said were laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. also said it took out a surface-to-air missile site based at Iran's primary naval station that was targeting our warplanes. In response, Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei threatened to strike American military bases everywhere in the region. The skirmishing is the latest sign that the mullahs have no intention of voluntarily meeting Trump's top demand for peace. For more than a decade, he has been saying the same thing, that Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon on his watch. Bombing Iran's nuclear sites is why he joined Israel's 12-day war last year and why he teamed up against the Jewish state for the current war in February. Thankfully, he has not budged an iota and has laid out precisely how Iran can meet his terms. All the mullahs would have to do is give up or destroy about 1,000 pounds of uranium enriched to different levels of purity, most of it buried under tons of rubble at 3 different sites destroyed by American bombers. The fact that the regime can't get to a yes on that core issue shows it would rather return to a full-scale war than give up its uranium stockpiles. In effect, the rejection reveals how committed the mullahs remain to their doomsday scenario of destroying Israel and the United States. Yes, they're buying time. We've talked about this on the program numerous times, but it seems as if at this point they are just buying time. Obviously, the fact that they would rather sacrifice more of their leaders, people, and energy infrastructure than make a reasonable and responsible deal illustrates their continuing commitment to the global revolutionary cause that gave birth to the regime nearly 50 years ago. A personal grudge against Trump is also playing a major factor in the stalled talks, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. It cites Iranian officials and Arab mediators as saying Iran has 2 major goals in the negotiation. One is getting financial relief for its strained economy, but doing so without giving enough ground on its nuclear program to allow President Trump to claim victory. How petty is that? The outlet also reported that Iran said Tuesday it would retaliate for the latest American strike, which it called a violation of the ceasefire. Without a doubt, the Islamic Republic of Iran will not leave any evil unanswered and will not hesitate to defend the Iranian nation. Even that wasn't enough to satisfy some of the regime's hardest hardliners. Mosavi, the Revolutionary Guard commander in charge of Iran's drone and missile program, said even the negotiation with the enemy is pure loss. In advance of his cabinet summit, the president has added a new demand on our regional allies to try to get things moving forward and establish a more permanent peace. He has said that Gulf Arab monarchies and others who would benefit from an end to hostilities with Iran would also be required to join the Abraham Accords. We mentioned this yesterday. Trump engineered the historic accords in his first term and now aims to expand them by stressing that the benefits of an Iran accord for Arab states and even Turkey would be so great that making a final peace with Israel would be the logical next step and the best way to secure lasting peace for the entire region. He wrote that after all the work done by the U.S. to try to pull this very complex puzzle together, it should be mandatory that all these countries, at a minimum, simultaneously sign on to the Abraham Accords. Now, the Hezbollah-Israel conflict in Lebanon is another complication. Trump has urged Benjamin Netanyahu not to do anything that would jeopardize chances of a deal with Iran. But the demand has put Israel in a bind because Hezbollah has continued to fire rockets into northern Israel, and its fighters are digging in closer to the border. The U.S. has urged the Lebanese government to crack down on the Iranian-funded proxy, but the hard truth is these Lebanese military are outgunned by the terror army, all of which leaves the president with the same 2 options he's had all along. Keep talking with Iran, even without much progress, or unleash the dogs of war again, with the hopes that the regime finally feels enough pain to meet his reasonable demands. In that sense, the push for the other Muslim states to establish relations with Israel can be seen as something of a Hail Mary. The odds of total success are low, but it's worth a try because the payoff would be enormous. And given how much those nations will need America going forward, Trump has hit on an idea that has the potential to diminish regional rivalries, expand the list of those committed to a larger and lasting peace. Imagine, too, the economic impact of a united Middle East. It would be so enormous that even Iran might come to its senses and join the party. I don't think so. Now they do. Eamon Blair from Fox News says this is now Iran's proxy war has crossed the ocean, is now knocking on America's door, suggesting Americans must reframe the debate. The threat is hybrid, networked, and already operating inside the strategic seams of the West. Recognizing the conflict for what it is, a long-running asymmetric campaign already converging on the homeland, is the first step toward effective defense, because you've got infrastructure, you've got hacking capabilities, so to not take it lightly. Also on the international front, Senator Rick Scott, a Republican from Florida, said that picking up Raul Castro in Cuba wouldn't be difficult, but he thinks that due to a desire by Castro to avoid dying in prison, that he's going to leave the country along with his family before we pick him up. Probably raises a good point there. I think Raul Castro is going to leave the country along with his family. He doesn't want to be in prison the rest of his life. I think he's 95 years old. He doesn't want to do what's happened to Maduro and die in prison in the U.S. So I think he's going to leave before we pick him up. All right, on that note, wow, we got a lot of comments coming in, a lot of waves coming in. Keep them coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here at WYDC TV. Big Fox, we will be right back.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. A viewer wrote in about code enforcement in Elmira is not happening. What is the reason? Does anybody know out there why there has been no code enforcement? This isn't the first time this person messaged me. I think the other ones we missed, maybe it was around, I'm not sure. But the code enforcement, again, not working in Elmira. Who is in charge? So great question. We pass that along to viewers. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Why would we believe or trust Iran? For almost half a century, they were vowing death to the great Satan, much like their proxy, Hamas. They will stall with peace talks, all the while doing what they want. No, I agree with you. I don't like the stall tactics. I think they are doing that right now, to your point. So I do appreciate that. Rick writes in and says, good morning, Frank. And I say, good morning, Rick. The U.S. is firing at Iran. You're getting what you want for a change, Trump. No matter how much of a hissy fit you throw, they think you're an idiot. And hey, wait a minute, I think you're an idiot too. Imagine that. Okay. This is devolving, Rick. I just got to say. All right, we'll continue. Veterans are making some noise about the location of Trump's 250-foot tall arch, overshadowing Arlington National Cemetery and casting a shadow on those heroes laid to rest is not cool. Trump also plans on starting construction without congressional approval. What makes Trump think he can fly around like a big bird and do whatever he wants? He should just stick with the golden arches. Could you supersize that? And I see Ken Paxton, the crook, defeats Senator Cornyn by a ton. Yeah, a lot. Isn't Paxton one of the criminals that spoke outside the White House on January 6th, tried to help his buddy Don, that I got cheated, I won, and they cheated me? But Donald Trump, you are the loser. Still won president twice. Okay. Hang your hat on 2020, Rick. Appreciate it. All right. Comment from a different viewer. Mark says, I feel for Pam Bondi having thyroid cancer. I've been through it, and it's hard to believe she's 60. She looks good for her that age. I couldn't believe that. I thought it was a misprint. Looking great. I hope speedy recovery, of course. It's sad to hear that right around the time she was fired. Yeah, I did not think 60 years old. That was pretty, not shocking. I wouldn't have guessed that. Excuse me. Vance yesterday did hosted the state attorney generals at an anti-fraud task force roundtable. 15 attorney general offices from around the country in the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. Vance saying one of the things we've realized in combating fraud is that the resources of the federal government, while vast, can be supplemented and aided by a lot of people who know best what's happening in their states, which is the attorney generals represented here today. They have a lot of legal resources. They have a lot of prosecutorial resources. And of course, they have the desire to prevent fraud as much as we do. And so I appreciate these leaders for being here, because we're going to work together, state and federal government, to try to combat fraud. I'm particularly gratified that this is not a partisan effort. I believe we have a couple of representatives from the attorney generals in Connecticut and Oregon. And as I've said repeatedly, this should not be a partisan effort. Everybody should care about fraud. Everybody should care about rooting out fraud. Everybody should care about saving the American taxpayer money. And importantly, everybody should care about everybody should care about actually protecting the programs that only work and are only properly funded if the money funding those programs isn't being stolen by fraudsters. We referred over $22 billion in fraudulent small business loans back to the Treasury for collection. We deferred more than $1.3 billion in fraudulent Medicaid reimbursements that were coming from various states, particularly California. We put a 6-month hold on enrollments for new hospice and home health care providers because so many of the newer hospice providers were not actually providing hospice services, but we're just focused on fraud. So we're going to cut that out for a little bit and try to get to a place where we can actually certify that the people providing hospice services are actually providing those very necessary and important services. We've recovered taxpayer funds from the $135 billion stolen after the floodgates were open in the immediate aftermath of COVID. We have found $6.3 billion in suspected fraudulent government contracts, which were mostly awarded during the last administration. And that has stopped. And finally, we blocked $60 million in student aid fraud that should have gone to young people trying to get an education, but instead they were going to fraudsters. Okay, we got a couple other things, and we're going to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. So get your last minute text, your last minute waves in, and we will return after this.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread missile attacks. Highest hospitalization. Also evacuation in the west. Forced labor.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Partly sunny today and warm, 85, a good 10 degrees above average. West-southwest winds overnight, a low of 53. Then 70 for our Thursday with some nice sunshine. We will stay dry with no widespread accumulating precipitation in the current forecast for the rest of the work week, the weekend, and as of now, the start of the new week as well as the new month.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Nothing to see in the 2020 election. Of course, Joe Biden got 81 million votes, far more than anyone ever before. What a powerhouse Joe was. How did we let him go? Thank you very much. Ken writes in, I know the head of code enforcement in Elmira, John McCracken. He is a reasonable, no-nonsense guy that takes his job seriously. Possibly your viewer could expand on what he means that there's no code enforcement in Elmira. Also, I know that John and his staff are just a phone call away. A quick Google search can get you that number. Thank you, Ken. I do appreciate that. Did you see that the Democrat Party had to delete their Memorial Day post? They used the somber occasion of Memorial Day to criticize President Trump with a post on X that many said exploited the death of U.S. service members in the Iran war. They then deleted the post and replaced it with something more inclusive. Today, we honor the American heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice in Trump's war with Iran. The post from the DNC said, man, this Ken Martin just does not have it, does he? Accompanied by the images of the 13 U.S. service members who died in Operation Epic Fury. After thousands of outraged comments and over 1.1 million views, the Democrats tried to sweep the controversy under the rug by deleting the original post and quickly replaced it with one that didn't use American war dead as a political cudgel. This Memorial Day, we remember and honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our country and defend our freedoms. The image was also swapped out with a stock image of a waving American flag against a sunny sky with a small icon of the Democrat Party donkey. But the Democrats seem to have forgotten that the internet doesn't forget, and the Mulligan tribute post was quickly beset by scores of comments featuring a screenshot of the original deleted post. Never forget Democrats using fallen soldiers to score political points and for clicks. The most disgusting thing I have ever witnessed. Now, a New York City Democrat Socialist Councilwoman, Shanna Hanif, condemned Muslim organizers to, we'll say, Hades in a vile post slamming a pro-Israel protest. Hanif, best known for her frequent anti-Israel remarks, raged in a post on X that she hopes the organizers are condemned to heck. The lefty Brooklyn lawmaker reposted 2 advertisements for the protest Zohran Mamdani demonstration that specifically featured Muslim speakers. The protest, held a block away from Gracie Mansion, was presented by End Jew Hatred. You also have a far-left California college, maybe this will actually lead to something, issuing an ultimatum to those that are going to try to fly the Palestinian flag during graduation. Berkeley, of all places, Berkeley educators refused to hand a diploma to a graduate who held aloft the Palestinian flag unless he got rid of it. It happened during the spring graduation ceremony for the Goldman School of Public Policy at the University of California, Berkeley, when a student walked across the stage to get their diploma and flashed the flag. I got the two mixed up because you had at UCLA, unfortunately, a lawsuit says that anti-Semitic attacks on Jewish students there. There was an exclusion zone. They beat them unconscious, attacked them with sticks. So we've got a back and forth here. But going back to Berkeley, Berkeley's saying you will not get your diploma unless you take down, stopping the graduation ceremonies. Flags are prohibited. You're not allowed to have flags. Finally treating these students like adults. Finally treating them like they would be treated in the real world. Hopefully there is some punishment, because so often we've seen no real punishment come from this. The ceremony was halted for more than a minute as the student carrying the flag refused to put it away to get his diploma. This happened in front of the entire audience made up of family members of graduates, faculty, and fellow staff, wasting their time because this person's opinion is so much more important than anybody's time, anybody else's opinion. As the audience booing got louder, the announcer apologized and said, "I'm sorry, it's not our policy, it's a university policy. We're not allowed to have flags." Eventually, the graduate walked over to someone in the audience and handed over the flag. He then walked back on stage to the professor holding his diploma, grabbed it, and exited the stage very quickly. The school is now facing backlash from student groups who are upset about what happened. Commencement is a reflection of a student's identity and values. To publicly discipline a student and hold their hard-earned degree over a flag is a severe overreaction that stifles free expression. No, it keeps things in order. These people could easily go and do this at their workforce and be fired. It's amazing to me. Stop the whole graduation ceremony just to get a political opinion out that so many of your fellow leftists in colleges made. You're not moving, in your opinion, not moving the ball forward at all of your radical policy beliefs. All right, but that's it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. I thank everybody who joined us. So glad we could find out more about the Chemung County Fair. We'll have guests on tomorrow. Just, tune in every weekday morning, starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning bright and early. I look forward to it already.